My mother begged me to fly across the country. "I'm dying. Help me." I flew from Seattle to save her in Columbus and walked into a perfectly healthy woman in full makeup, suitcases by the door, my sister with 3 kids and 10 days of beach outfits. Surprise? I wasn't there to hold her hand. I was the free childcare. What I did next, they definitely did not enjoy. When my phone started doing its little seizure across my desk, Mom lit up the screen and my stomach did that familiar twist. They never call just to chat. If it's not about money, it's about a favor, usually both. I was buried in endless QuickBooks tables, 3 projects on fire, Bennett reports due the next morning, Slack pinging in the corner like a smoke alarm. Classic Tuesday. I picked up. "Hey, Mom." "Emily." My mother, Linda Marie, sounded like an actress in the last act of a tragic play. Weak, breathy, like a dying swan. "I feel so bad, sweetie. My head is spinning, my chest is tight. Your father's never home, always at work, and I'm here all alone." Heavy breathing in the receiver. Exactly like the hospital dramas where someone yells, "We're losing her!" And then she lives for 6 more seasons. "I really need you, Em. I need you so much." My brain snapped into emergency mode. "What happened this time? Did you call 911? What about Lisa? She lives 15 minutes away. She can swing by and check on you." Lisa is my older sister, eternal golden child, Mom's favorite, Dad's pride, walking proof that the universe has a sense of humor. Mom sighed so tragically I could practically feel it through the phone. "Lisa is overwhelmed with 3 kids. She doesn't have time to worry about me." Of course, Lisa is always overwhelmed the second someone might need something from her. "Please, Emily." Her voice quivered, Oscar-worthy. "Just come for a couple of weeks until I feel better. I wouldn't ask if it weren't serious." I looked at my monitor. 3 red-flagged projects. Bennett's monthly reports due tomorrow. My boss, Michael Dean, counting on me. My PTO wasn't scheduled until next month. But how do you say no to a dying mother? "I can fly out the morning after tomorrow," I heard myself say, already drafting a mental apology to my boss. "Earliest I can get a flight out of Seattle." "Thank you, sweetie." Her voice suddenly sounded stronger, almost perky. Miracle. "You've always been my reliable one." Yeah, reliable Emily. The family fix-it kit. All purpose, no warranty. I went straight to Michael's office and knocked. "Got a minute?" He looked up. "Sure, Emily. What's up?" "My mom's sick," I said. "Dad's at work. There's no one to stay with her. I need to fly out to Columbus. Maybe for 2 weeks. I'm asking for unpaid leave. Family emergency." Michael frowned. "And the Bennett reports?" "I know. I'm sorry. I wouldn't ask if it weren't bad." He studied me for a second, then nodded once. "Family comes first," he said. "We'll figure it out. Take the time you need. 2 weeks, and then I expect you back." "Thank you," I said, genuinely. I went back to my desk, pulled up flights, and booked an early morning route. Seattle, Chicago, Columbus. About 15 hours door to door once you count layovers and airport chaos. I hadn't been back in 4 years. 4 blissful years without family drama, guilt trips, or sudden loans that never came back. That evening, I pulled out my suitcase and set the alarm for 4 a.m. I live alone in a tiny 1-bedroom in the Ballard neighborhood of Seattle. I chose the furthest city I could get into after college, geographically and emotionally. That wasn't an accident. It was a survival strategy. Lisa, on the other hand, she never had to strategize. She just texted, "Can you Zelle me $200? I'll pay you back later." Without a please or thank you. No birthday calls, no Merry Christmas. Just, "Send money, we'll totally pay you back." Later never showed up. By the time my ride to the airport pulled up, I'd talked myself into believing I was being dramatic. Maybe Mom really was in trouble. Maybe this time was different. Spoiler, it wasn't. The flight passed in a fog of airplane coffee and recycled air. Seattle to Chicago, Chicago to Columbus, one long blur of anxiety and plastic-wrapped snacks. An Uber from John Glenn Columbus International Airport took me back to my old neighborhood on the west side of the city. Everything looked exactly the same, and somehow worse. Small front yards with patchy grass and overgrown hydrangeas, rusty swing sets with peeling paint, old Chevys and Fords sagging into the curb. My parents' house was a one-story brick box wrapped in once white siding that now looked stubbornly gray. I knocked, my heart thudding with every worst-case scenario my brain could produce. The door flew open. My mother stood there fresh as a daisy, hair done, lipstick bright, earrings matching her blouse. "Mom!" I froze on the doorstep, suitcase handle clenched in my hand. "You were sick." She grabbed my arm and tugged me inside. "Emily, you made it. Good girl. Shoes off. Your slippers are under the coat rack. Wait, what about your blood pressure? Your chest?" Mom laughed and waved a hand. "Oh, that. I might have exaggerated a little to get you here. Surprise!" I just stood there in the hallway, still gripping my suitcase, while my brain tried to reboot. From the living room came laughter and voices. "Look who's here!" Mom yelled. I followed her into the living room. Dad, Robert Allen, sat in his recliner scrolling news on his phone. On the couch were Lisa, her husband Jason, and their 3 kids, Ava, Ethan, and little Zoe, who I'd only ever seen in Facebook photos. "Oh, Emily!" Lisa gave me that smile that makes you instinctively check if your wallet's still in your bag. "You actually came." Dad glanced up. "Hey, kiddo, how was your flight?" "What's going on?" I looked from one face to another. Mom said she was dying. "We're going on vacation," Mom announced happily. "Myrtle Beach. 10 days. Everything's booked. Tickets bought." She gestured vaguely at the grandkids. "And nobody to stay with the kids." It felt like someone had dumped a bucket of ice water over my head. "So, you lied about being sick," I said slowly, "so I'd fly across the country to babysit." "Don't be so dramatic," Lisa snorted. "You've got, what, an office job? You sit at a computer all day. It's not like you work in a factory." I felt my face start to burn. "I have deadlines, Lisa. 3 projects are on fire. I took unpaid leave for this." "That's what family is for," Mom said in her sermon voice. "To help each other. Lisa and Jason haven't been anywhere in years. Your father and I haven't been back to Hawaii since our honeymoon. This is important." They all looked so pleased with themselves, relaxed, not a trace of shame. My family. They lied, tricked me into coming, and now they expected me to wag my tail with gratitude. I could have exploded right there. Years of resentment were lined up like planes on a runway, but something stopped me. Maybe the old habit of being good Emily, or maybe the first spark of a plan. I took a slow breath and forced a smile. "You know what?" I said. "You're right. Family should help family. When do you leave?" The tension evaporated instantly. Mom even clapped her hands. "See? I knew Emily would understand. We fly out the day after tomorrow, honey. It's going to be so wonderful." "Yeah, for some of us." That night, over Mom's famous skillet pasta with ground beef, the only thing she can cook without burning, everyone talked nonstop about their glorious beach vacation. The resort right on the ocean, all-inclusive. What a deal they'd scored. Dad bragged about the discount and free buffet. Jason enthused about renting a Jeep to go into the mountains. The kids bounced in their chairs, fighting over who'd sleep in which bed. I smiled, nodded, played along. But inside, I was already packing a very different trip. After dinner, I slipped away to my old bedroom. It wasn't really a bedroom anymore, more like a storage unit with a bed shoved into a corner, boxes stacked to the ceiling, my old posters half covered by dusty junk. I sat on the creaky mattress, closed the door, and pulled out my phone with shaky hands. Dialed Michael. "Emily, how's your mom?" he asked immediately. "Not quite how I imagined," I said, and told him everything. The fake illness, the actual vacation, the unpaid leave I'd taken to come save her. Michael was quiet for a moment. "Wow," he said finally. "Your family is... something. That's beyond the line." "Yeah." My eyes stung. "I'm sorry I left work for this." "Don't apologize," he said. "You tried to do the right thing." He paused. "So, what are you going to do now?" "I don't know. Part of me wants to buy a ticket back to Seattle right this second." "You could do that," he said. "Or you could take an actual vacation. You already have the time blocked off. Maybe use it for yourself for once." I blinked. "You think so?" "Of course," he said. "We already redistributed the workload. Don't rush back, Emily. After this stunt, you've earned a break." I hung up and opened my laptop before the guilt could catch up. If my delightful family was going to Myrtle Beach, I wanted somewhere farther, nicer, and significantly more expensive. Just for balance. Turkey caught my eye. Antalya, specifically. White sand, turquoise Mediterranean, all-inclusive, glowing on the screen like a dare. And would you look at that? There was a beachfront resort with open rooms starting exactly the day my family flew out. 10 days. All-inclusive. The photos looked like a Rixos knockoff. White buildings, palm trees, multiple pools, ocean basically in the lobby. I booked it without thinking twice. Then I found a morning flight out of Columbus that would get me to Antalya with connections, hours before their afternoon departure. By the time they'd finish breakfast and head to the airport, I'd be boarding my second plane. I was going to be sipping a mojito by the pool when they were realizing their free nanny had vanished. And for once, I didn't feel guilty. Just awake. The next morning, I pretended to join the family chaos. Mom and Lisa dashed around with lists, checking suitcases, shouting about sunscreen and swimsuits. Dad rechecked the travel documents for the 15th time. The kids bounced off the furniture. I slipped out to Easton Town Center to pick up a few things. New swimsuit, sunscreen, a cover-up, flip-flops. Everything I'd need for my Turkish all-inclusive. I hid the shopping bags in my suitcase under boring clothes. That night, I triple-checked my plane tickets and hotel reservation. Everything lined up perfectly. A small pang of guilt jabbed at me because of the kids. They weren't to blame. But then I remembered Lisa dismissing my job, Mom's fake heart attack, the way they'd tricked me. My whole life, I'd been last on their list. Memories flooded in. At 12, I was cooking dinner and scrubbing floors while my darling sister went out with friends. At 16, I got a job at a supermarket to pay for my own clothes and textbooks. At 19, Lisa was at a private college, fully funded by our parents. I got nothing for school. I clawed my way into a state university on scholarships and pure stubbornness. When I moved to Seattle after college, they didn't visit once, barely called. The only time my phone lit up with Mom or Lisa was when someone needed money. "Can you send me $150? Just until Friday. Transfer it, we'll pay you back." Friday never came. And now they'd staged a fake medical emergency to trap me into 10 days of unpaid childcare. No, I thought. I'm done feeling guilty. They made their choices. Now it was my turn. On departure day, I woke up at 5 a.m. My flight was at 8. Theirs was at 2 in the afternoon. I had to be out of the house by 6 to make the airport. I got dressed in the half-light, quietly packed the last of my things, and cracked open the bedroom window. The shrubs below would hide my suitcase until I could grab it. I eased the suitcase down, winced at the dull thud, and shut the window. A few minutes later, Mom knocked. "Em, you up already?" I opened the door fully dressed. "Yeah, I thought I'd run to the store and the pharmacy," I said casually. "Pick up some stuff for the kids before you leave." "You're such a good girl," Mom said, genuinely pleased. "We're heading to the airport in about an hour and a half. You'll be back, right?" "Of course," I lied easily. 15 minutes. I went downstairs, threw a "going to the store" over my shoulder to Dad while he made coffee, and slipped outside. Around the side of the house, I yanked my suitcase out of the bushes and started walking, fast, without looking back. As soon as I rounded the corner and the house disappeared behind me, I called an Uber. "To the airport, please," I told the driver. Then I turned my phone off. The airport was busy, but for the first time in years, I didn't care. I checked in, cleared security, and found my gate. Never turned my phone back on. I knew it would explode the second it caught signal. I bought a coffee and a magazine, sat by the gate, and finally relaxed. No one was asking for money. No one telling me what I had to do. No one treating me like a background character in my own life. When boarding started, I walked onto that plane with a grin, grabbed a window seat, buckled in, and only then checked the time. Right about now, my family would be finishing breakfast, blissfully unaware that their free nanny was taxiing down the runway. The first flight felt like pure luxury, less because of the airline, more because of the company. 3.5 hours of movies, napping, and not thinking about the meltdown brewing back in Columbus. When we finally landed in Antalya, it was midday local time. As I waited at baggage claim, I finally turned my phone on. It went insane. 27 missed calls, 42 messages, like shaking up a beehive and popping the lid. A quick skim. "Where are you?" "Mom." "Call me back now." "Dad." "If you don't come back in 10 minutes, we'll miss our flight." "Dad." "Emily, this is not funny." "Lisa." "You selfish witch." "Lisa." The messages got progressively nastier. I locked my screen, grabbed my suitcase, and walked out to find the hotel shuttle. Antalya hit me with heat and sea breeze the second the doors opened. It felt like stepping into someone else's life. The shuttle driver was one of those talkative types. All the way to the resort, he told me about the Duden waterfalls and the old town of Kalaitsi. I nodded, half listening, half floating. The hotel looked better than the photos. White buildings, palm trees, blue pools, the Mediterranean so close you could smell the salt. I checked in, took a long shower, slipped into my new swimsuit, and finally decided it was time to update my family. I called Mom. She picked up on the first ring. "Emily, where the hell are you?" she practically screamed. "In Turkey," I said calmly. "At a hotel in Antalya?" Silence. Then, "What nonsense are you talking about? Get back here immediately. We missed the transfer because of you." "I'm sorry to hear that," I said, and I almost meant it. "But I'm not coming back to babysit." "You did this on purpose?" Mom wheezed. "You planned this?" "Yes," I said. "About the same way you planned your emergency call to your dying mother." "That's different," she snapped. "We needed help. And you decided lying was the best way to get it. You didn't even ask if I could stay with the kids. You just manipulated me. Your sister could hire a nanny," I cut in, "or ask me honestly. Instead, you faked a health crisis. I was genuinely scared something was wrong with you." Mom went quiet for a moment. Then, "You ruined everything. The vacation is ruined. The tour operator is charging penalties for canceling." "I am sorry about that," I said. And I was. "But maybe this will teach you to respect me. Even a little." "Respect you after what you've done?" Mom's voice shot up an octave. "Lisa was right. You're selfish." I laughed. Funny, hearing that from people who only call when they need money, people who never pay it back. "How dare you talk to us like that?" she hissed. "No," I said. "How dare you? All of you. I'm done being the family doormat. I'm going to enjoy my vacation now. Bye, Mom." I hung up before she could respond. The phone rang again immediately, Lisa this time. I powered it down and shoved it into my bag. Then I walked down to the pool bar, ordered a mojito, took a long sip, and watched the turquoise sea. For the first time in years, I felt like I was exactly where I was supposed to be. The next days were, honestly, magical. I swam. I read on the beach. I rode a banana boat behind a speedboat and screamed my lungs out in the best way. I destroyed the buffet. They did grilled eggplant there that could make you believe in higher powers. I turned my phone on once a day, just long enough to glance at work email and upload a few photos to Instagram stories. Beach selfies, rainbow cocktails, postcard sunsets. Lisa replied to every single story with a DM. "Hope you're happy. Mom won't stop crying. The kids keep asking where Aunt Emily is." I ignored her and kept posting. "Let them watch." On the fourth night, I met Alex at the hotel bar. He was in town for a textile trade show that wrapped up early. He'd decided to extend his stay for a few days. We clicked immediately, and he didn't even blink at my family drama. "I've got a similar story," he said, smirking. "Except I'm hiding from my ex-mother-in-law on this business trip." We spent the rest of the trip together. It was easy, nice. Being around someone who liked me for me, not for what I could do for them. Not as free labor. By the end of the week, I felt new. Strong in a way I wasn't used to. We exchanged numbers at the airport, but I didn't build any castles in the air. Long distance isn't exactly my thing. No regrets. I flew back to Seattle with 3 days of vacation still left. I used them to clean my apartment, do laundry, and brace myself for re-entry into normal life. Michael pinged me in Slack. "Confirming you're back Monday?" "Yes," I replied. "Back as planned." My phone had finally stopped vibrating itself off the table with family theatrics. The silence, weirdly, made me more nervous than the drama. The day before work started again, my phone rang. Aunt Karen, Mom's sister. "Emily, it's Aunt Karen," she said when I picked up. Her voice has always had that steady, no-bull tone. We'd never been close, but she'd always treated me like an actual person. "I heard something happened," she said. "Your parents and Lisa are calling every relative saying you ruined their entire vacation." I sighed. "And did they mention that Mom faked being seriously ill to lure me out here and trap me as a babysitter for 10 days? "No," Aunt Karen said slowly. "Funny how they left that out." So I told her everything. The fake illness, the Myrtle Beach plan, the unpaid leave, my escape, the calls, the whole circus. When I finished, there was a long pause. "Well, for heaven's sake," she said finally. "Your mother's always been a one-woman theater, but this is a lot." "So you believe me?" I asked. "Of course I do, honey. I love my sister, but she's always favored Lisa. I saw it when you were kids. It wasn't right then, and it isn't right now." Her words hit harder than I expected. All those years I thought I was just oversensitive. Turns out it wasn't all in my head. "Thank you," I whispered. "What you did was bold," Aunt Karen said. "But I don't blame you. Sometimes people need a cold shower." We talked a little more. I hung up feeling lighter. At least one person in the family was willing to stand on my side of the line. The next day I went back to work. Michael met me with a smile. "Welcome back. How was Turkey?" "Incredible," I said honestly. "Thank you for pushing me to go." "And the family saga?" he asked. I shrugged. "Still dramatic, but I'm not going to let them walk all over me anymore." The following weeks were quiet. No calls from my parents. No texts from Lisa. I dove into work, caught up on projects, and even started texting more with Alex. He called from New York one evening and said he couldn't stop thinking about our time in Turkey. Almost a month after my Turkish rebellion, my phone rang again. Mom. I took a deep breath and answered. Hi, Mom. Hi, Emily, she said. Her voice was tense. How are you? I'm fine, I said. You? Better, she replied shortly. Your father and I talked about what happened. I waited. What you did was very hurtful, she went on. We lost a lot of money on the tickets and the hotel. The tour operator charged penalties. No apology for the fake illness. No acknowledgement of using me. That's unfortunate, I said coolly. Maybe next time it would be better to hire a nanny instead of lying to trick me into coming. Mom sighed heavily. We didn't lie, she said. We just exaggerated a little. That's how we do things. We're supposed to help each other. It goes both ways. Funny, I said, because from where I'm sitting, it looks like I help you, and you take advantage of it. When was the last time you called just to see how I'm doing? Not to ask for money, not to ask for a favor, just to talk to your daughter. Silence. Exactly, I said. Look, Mom, I'm not saying what I did wasn't petty. It was. But I'm done being the family ATM and the free babysitter. What are you suggesting then? She asked quietly. If you want a normal relationship with me, I said, it has to be a two-way street. I need to feel like you value me, not just what I can do for you. Another pause. Fine, she said finally. I'll think about what you said. Do that, I replied. Bye, Mom. I hung up, not knowing if that was the beginning of reconciliation or the last nail in the coffin of whatever we called our relationship. Either way, I didn't regret standing up for myself. A little while later, Lisa texted. The kids keep asking about you. No apology, no hint of guilt. Just using the kids as leverage as usual. I didn't respond. Life went on. I got a promotion at work. Now I manage an entire line of projects instead of just juggling spreadsheets in the background. Alex flew out one weekend. I showed him around Seattle. We went up to Cary Park Overlook, watched the city lights flicker under the clouds, and walked all the way out to Alki Point Lighthouse. I joined a local travel club, made new friends, people who liked me without needing an excuse. 3 months after the turkey incident, Aunt Karen called again. I thought you'd want to know, she said. Your mother admitted to me that they handled things badly when they lied to you. Not in those exact words, of course. Of course, I snorted. She told me she should have just asked you directly to help with the kids. For your mother, that's practically a confession. I laughed. Probably. Give them time, Em, Aunt Karen said. They're stubborn, but they do love you. In their way. In their way? I repeated quietly. Not perfect, she said. But it's something. After we hung up, I sat there a long time, thinking about family. The one you're born into and the one you build yourself. For so many years, I'd tried to earn my parents' and sisters' approval. It never worked. Maybe it never will. And maybe that's okay. I've built a good life, a job I like, friends who actually value me, a promising relationship with a man who met me as I am, not as a utility. I don't need to be the family rag doll to feel worthy of love. A week later, a card arrived in the mail. Inside was a transfer to my account, the exact amount of the loans they'd borrowed and never repaid. The money hit my balance the same day. On the card, in Mom's handwriting, sorry this took so long. Love, Mom. Not a full apology, not a promise to change, but something. A small, crooked step. I texted her a simple thank you, Then I put the card in a drawer and went on with my day. Do I want a full reconciliation? I'm not sure. Part of me, despite everything, still misses them. Another part is terrified of sliding back into old patterns and becoming reliable Emily again, the girl who drops everything whenever they snap their fingers. So for now, I keep my distance. Maybe one day we'll figure out a healthier way to be in each other's lives. Maybe we won't. Either way, I know one thing for certain. I'm going to be okay. So what do you think? Did I go too far or not far enough? Let me know in the comments and subscribe for more.